Welcome back to the channel where we explore, learn, and theorize about the Marvel Universe. Today I'll be breaking down the first episode of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, so if you haven't watched it yet or if you don't want any spoilers, then don't worry. You can watch the first half of the video normally, where I'll be talking about Black Widow getting delayed, our first look at Carnage from a Funko Pop, and a plot leak for Ant-Man 3, and then I'll let you know when the spoilers are coming. If you're new to the channel, or even if you've been watching for a while, make sure you subscribe because more than 96% of you guys aren't subscribed. And if you think you're subbed, double check because apparently there's a glitch where people are getting unsubscribed from certain channels. And remember that a subscription is free for you, but it really helps the channel a lot. And you can always unsub later if you want. Now let's get started. In a recent interview with Deadline, Disney CEO Bob Chapek was asked if Black Widow would stick to its release date, and he said our current situation and our conditions change. Just a few weeks ago, theaters in New York and Los Angeles weren't even open. Now all of a sudden they're open. So we're waiting to see how prospective theatergoers respond to these reopenings. We're gonna remain flexible. We'll make the call probably at the last minute in terms of how these films come to market, whether it's Black Widow or any other title. And with this coming out almost immediately after the Venom 2 Let There Be Carnage delay, it seems like Black Widow will also get delayed, so we should brace for the announcement soon. However, it's not all bad news, as we seem to have gotten our first look at what Carnage will look like in the movie from a leaked Funko Pop. And while it doesn't look that different from the Carnage Funko Pops that are already out, you can tell that it's different because the black lines on his face and his mouth are different. Moving on, we have a new plot leak for Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, which sounds amazing, but it's coming from 4chan. So like always, take this with a grain of salt. But things on 4chan have been fully or partially right in the past, so here's a spoiler warning just in case this is true. Anyway, the leaker starts off by saying that Kang is a mad scientist from the future who uses quantum energy to travel through time and build an army to conquer Earth in the present. His actions disrupt the quantum realm and attract the attention of the Ant family. Scott and Hope are together but having problems because he's dedicated to fighting crime and she's focused on rebuilding PEM technologies. Scott is also struggling to reconnect with Cassie after missing 5 years of her life. Cassie wants to be a superhero and has been training in secret, but Scott doesn't want to risk her life, and this creates some conflict between them. Cassie ends up stealing the prototype Stinger suit developed by Hope and proving her worth in the fight against Kang. Part of the movie takes place at the quantum realm where Kang has a base of operations. At one point he kidnaps Hank in order to learn more about PEM particles, and Hope and Janet have to rescue him while Scott and Cassie deal with Kang. In the third act, Kang recruits doubles of himself from different points in time to help him fight the Ant family, and there's a big battle against extra-dimensional monsters from the quantum realm that cross over into the real world. Luis, Maggie, and Paxton will all return, and there are discussions to include Bill Foster, aka Goliath, as well. Hurt and Dave won't be back, and neither will Ghost, at least not in this film. In addition to Catherine Newton as Cassie and Jonathan Majors as Kang, Austin Abrams is in negotiations to play Cassie's boyfriend Mike, and Bill Hader is eyed to play Hope's business rival George Tarleton. And what's super interesting about this, other than multiple Kangs and more quantum realm, is that they're introducing George Tarleton, aka MODOK, and he'll most likely end up being the benefactor they've been talking about in the previous movies. And lastly, the first episode of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier just came out, so if you haven't watched it yet or if you don't want any spoilers, then click off the video now, as I'll be breaking down the episode and covering all the Easter eggs. So once again, there will be major spoilers ahead for The Falcon and the Winter Soldier Episode 1. One of the main focuses of the episode is Sam Wilson giving up the shield because he doesn't feel like he's ready or can live up to Captain America's legacy. We then see Sam and Rhodey at a memorial where Sam places the shield in the Captain America Museum. However, at the end of the episode, the government goes behind his back, takes the shield, give it to, and announce John Walker as the new Captain America. The show then transitions over to Falcon on a mission trying to save Captain Vassant from a criminal organization known as LAF, and seemingly led by Batroc the Leaper. We get an amazing aerial dogfight between Falcon and the men in wingsuits where Sam uses Red Wing to destroy some helicopters that are chasing him and eventually saves the captain. What's important though is the person that's communicating with Falcon from the ground, Joaquin Torres, who in the comics becomes the second Falcon. After the mission, Sam and Torres sit together at a cafe in Tunisia, and Torres asks Sam what happened to Captain America. He says there are some crazy theories saying that Captain America is on a secret base on the moon, and while that's obviously not true, it's not too crazy of a theory, and it's actually a really cool reference to the Inhumans, because if you didn't know, the Inhumans have a secret base on the moon called Atalan. Anyway, after that we see some of Bucky's past, where he killed a young man who had witnessed the Winter Soldier's murder. In the present, Bucky has nightmares about his past and goes to therapy, where to pardon him, he has to make amends with people from his past, by following 3 rules. Number 1, he can't do anything illegal. Number 2, no one can get hurt. And number 3, he has to tell them that he's no longer the Winter Soldier, but James Barnes, and smile. After his therapy session, we see that he's made friends with an old man named Yuri, but the reason behind it is really sad. It turns out that the man Bucky killed was actually Yuri's son, and he regrets it, so he spends time with the old man. The show then transitions back to Sam, who's spending time with his sister Sarah and her kids. Sarah wants to sell their parents' boat because she's broke and can't keep the business afloat. However, Sam refuses and promises that he'll help her get a loan. The problem is that since Sam got snapped, he had no income for the past 5 years, so they refused the loan. And lastly, they introduce the show's main villain organization, the Flag Smashers. Torres has been tracking them online and decides to go to the group's meetup, where they hand everyone masks to confuse the police while they rob a bank. Torres tries to stop their leader, but it turns out that he's a super soldier, or is at least on a version of the serum which makes him incredibly strong. And if you watch the show's credits, you might have seen a shot of actor Carl Lumbly in a case file brought up from a search log at 43 minutes and 31 seconds, and Lumbly's rumored to play the first black Captain America, Isaiah Bradley. And then at 43 minutes and 54 seconds, you can see the words Power Broker watching, alongside a couple of vials of what is most likely the super soldier serum. And this makes sense as in the comics the Power Broker is the one that turns John Walker and Battlestar into super soldiers, and fuses Joaquin Torres with Red Wing, making him a Falcon hybrid. But let me know what you guys think about all this. Do you expect Black Widow to get delayed? Do you like this new design for Carnage? What do you think about this plot leak? And what did you think of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier? If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and turn on post notifications so you'll never miss another video. Thanks for watching, and remember to wash your hands and stay safe.